Hey there, Joe DeSanto here. How are you? As the title of this video indicates, it's all about 1099s, year-end 1099s. And if you are a business and you pay a contractor or a vendor more than $600 in the calendar year, you are most likely required to send them a 1099 by the end of January of the next year. Anyone you paid in 2025, vendor-wise, if you want it to be a deductible expense, very likely you'll have to send them a 1099 NEC or non-employee compensation by January 31st. So that's what this video is about, and I'm going to walk you through a tool that I use, Tax1099, in order to get those 1099s out. But before that, I do have to give you full disclosure. This year, Tax1099 sponsored this video because they saw a video I did previously and asked if I would do another one. Disclaimer number 2 is that the link in the description is an affiliate link, so if you follow it and sign up for Tax1099, I will get a commission. So that's good for me, obviously. It helps me make these videos, but it's also good for you because if you follow the link, which is joedesanto.com/tax1099, and use the coupon code DeSanto15, you'll get 15% off. So it's a win-win. Why not? But honestly, I'm happy to make this video sponsored or not because I've used Tax1099 for over a decade to do my own 1099s. And I think it's a great service and it makes a tedious process much easier, not only to execute, but to follow in terms of the steps you have to take to do it right. So pretty soon here, I'm going to walk you through how to use Tax1099, how to sign up, how to enter your company info, how to set up vendors and then get them to 1099 and some of the details. But before that, I want to just walk you through some of the requirements of to whom and why and when you would send a 1099. So as I mentioned at the top, 1099 NECs in particular, that's what we're talking about in this video. There are other versions, but I'm not going to cover all those. If you are paying someone as an independent contractor, someone that is not fully employed by you, whether in a full-time or part-time sense, and someone that you would also otherwise send a W-2 to at the end of the year, you often have to send them a 1099. And that could be anybody. It could be a bookkeeper, an accountant you might employ. It could be a plumber. It could be a vendor that you buy supplies from. Anyone essentially that is an expense of the business and that you want to deduct, you would potentially send them a 1099. Now, it would be far less confusing if I just stopped there. Anyone you paid, you would send them a 1099. But it's not that simple. Actually, I wish I could say it was mildly complicated, but it's somewhat complicated, to be honest with you. But here's the basic gist. We're going to go through the rules of engagement regarding 1099 NECs. You only have to issue a 1099 for people that you paid using your bank account, like ACH, check. Basically, if you paid them directly using funds from your bank, they will remain on the qualified for 1099 list. If you've paid people with a credit card, no matter who they are or what it was for, you do not have to send them a 1099. Because if people are registered to accept credit card payments, the credit card company who actually sends them the money is required to take care of their 1099 if they qualify for it by the credit card company standards, which is a whole nother thing. But if you pay them by a credit card, scratch them off the list. So that's step number 1 in disqualifying people. Now, if you paid them with PayPal, but you utilize PayPal Business, you don't have to send them a 1099. If you paid people with PayPal that you're taking a deduction for, but you used PayPal Friends and Family, meaning you used a PayPal, like personal PayPal account, but paid a business expense, you do have to send them a 1099. So that's pretty confusing. It used to not be the case if you sent someone money with Zelle, you didn't have to give them a 1099, but now you do. Because paying people with Zelle is basically like paying them with ACH or a check. There's no middleman, that takes the money and then moves it on. The money goes direct from your bank account to theirs. Now, if you pay people with Venmo, it's similar to PayPal. If they use Venmo business services, or if you're using Venmo business services, potentially you don't have to send them a 1099. But if you're using your personal Venmo account to their personal Venmo account, then you do have to issue a 1099. And I'll be honest, when it comes to these PayPal, Venmo, Zells, it's been changing a little bit every year. So it's certainly a good idea to just go do a little quick research or maybe even double check with your CPA. But as far as I'm aware at the moment, those are currently the rules. Okay, so beyond the way you pay people, let's talk about the recipient's tax status. So basic general rule here is if your recipient is a corporation, meaning they have INC at the end of their business, you don't have to send them a 1099. You can just take the deduction and no 1099 is needed. If they are an LLC, but taxed as a corporation, i.e. taxed as a C Corp or an S Corp, you do not have to send them a 1099. Essentially, you don't have to send any vendor a 1099 if they're a corporation or taxed as a corporation. If you're paying people just to their name and their quote unquote social security number, you do have to send them a 1099. So, of course, your next question might be, well, hey, Joe, how would I know if they are any of those things? Well, you have to get from them first what's called a W-9 form, where they tell you how you want them to pay them, in what name, whether it be in their own personal name or in their corporate name. And if they are some sort of entity like an LLC or corporation, what their tax status is. So what I like to do is I don't pay any vendor until I get their W-9 from them, only because everybody in the world generally hates paperwork. And if I pay them, and I'm only going to pay them one time in the year, then 6 months from now, I try to get a W-9 from them. Often it can take 20 emails because a lot of people, again, they don't like paperwork. So usually you say, hey, I want to pay you, but I can't until I get your W-9. They will send it because they're, interested in getting paid promptly. Now, I will say some companies just send everyone a 1099 to make their own life easier, and you can do that. While you don't have to send a corporation a 1099, you still can, because they're required to report the income anyway, so it's not going to cause a problem. However, I'll say this, if you pay someone with a credit card, you cannot send them a 1099. That's a no-no, because the credit card may send them a 1099. And then if you also send them to 1099, their income will have been double reported to the IRS, and they're going to ask you to undo all that because they'll be supposedly needing to pay more tax than they need to pay. So those are some of the rules about to whom and when and under what circumstance you send the 1099. I wish it was less complicated, but it's just not. I'm also going to take a moment right now to say that I am not a licensed tax professional. I'm not a registered tax preparer. As I often say, I'm a do-it-yourself entrepreneur that have learned all the details of these things just for my own needs, requirements, and interest. But also, I work now as a fractional CFO and business manager, so I do help my business clients get through this process at the end of the year. And I do prepare 1099s both for myself and for other businesses. So I'm very, adept in the tax matters, but officially I just need to give that disclaimer. I'm not a licensed tax professional or licensed attorney. So I guess I'll wrap this little section up by saying it is a legal requirement for you to inform the IRS and or states where required that, this person made this amount of money, so you should be expecting some taxes from them. I didn't withhold any. And if you don't do it, you can run into fees and penalties yourself, so you want to make sure to take care of it. I'll talk a little bit more about the fees and penalties later in the video. So this next part of the video, we're going to get into setting up Tax 1099 and walking you through the process of generating 1099s for your vendors and getting them out the door. It's super fun. I know you're going to love it. I will see you in the tutorial section. So we're going to go to joedesanto.com/tax1099 and then go into the sign up area and start filling in your information. You're going to enter your email, of course, and a password so you can create your free account. There's no fee to have the account. You only pay for the forms that you create. But as I mentioned, if you use my code when you get to checkout, you will get 15% off. That code again is DeSanto15. Okay, once you sign in, click on Forms from the left menu. And then next, you're going to choose the tax year. In this example, I'm selecting 2025, and then select the form type, which in this case, we are doing the 1099 NEC, and NEC stands for non-employee compensation. Okay, so after that, you'll begin to enter your payor details. This is you and your business. Now, if your business is just you operating under your personal name and social security number, meaning you're operating as a sole proprietor or independent contractor, you're going to just enter your full name, your social security number, your phone number, your address. But in the case that you are a business and you have an entity and a tax identification number or EIN number, of course, you're going to enter your business name and you're going to enter your EIN along with your address and so on. Once you set it up, it's saved for future years, so you're not going to have to enter this information again. And next, we're going to start adding the recipient details, and we're going to use the information we received on that W-9 form that I mentioned earlier in the video. On that W-9 form should be their either personal name, if that's what they're operating under, their address, their social security number. But if your vendor is a business, they're going to have their entity name. They're going to have, maybe if they have a corp or an LLC and then they have a doing business as a DBA, they might also have that in there. They're going to have their entity address and they're going to have their entity tax ID or EIN, whatever you want to call it, instead of a social security number. Okay, after entering the recipient's details, you're going to move on to the payment section of the 1099 NEC form. So we're going to start by entering the total non-employee compensation you paid them for the year. For example, enter $2,000 if that's what you paid the recipient. Whatever you paid them in total, we're going to enter that in. You'll also see a box for direct sales of $5,000 or more for resale. This only applies if you sold products to the recipient for them to resell. Otherwise, you're going to leave this blank. Now, if there was any federal income tax withheld or state income tax withheld, federal is box 4, state is box 5 and AB, you would enter those amounts here. But honestly, that would be very unusual. And if you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I withheld state or federal income tax, the chances are you didn't. The system's automatically going to prompt you to opt in for state filing if it's required based on your details. So below, you'll see the fields for payer state ID, name, and state income. The system will autofill the payer tax ID number, state name, and state income if it's required by that state. And if you want to double check state requirements, just go to the state requirements tab, choose the recipient state you want, and then scroll down to see the filing requirements. For most small businesses, the only box you'll use for the most part is the non-employee compensation box. Most of the other boxes you'll see on the form may get prompted to fill in. You don't fill in, they're just less common. Okay, so after you've entered all the details, click on Save and Continue to move forward. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're both letting the IRS and states know that these folks made the income they made, they're getting the form, but the recipient or the vendor is also going to get a copy of the form. In fact, you're required to send a copy of the form to the recipient, and the Tax 1099 service gives you 3 options for delivery. You can choose USPS mail, which we talked about. So if you didn't get an email and you only have the address, obviously you're going to do that. You can choose e-delivery, which emails the form directly to the recipient's email address after they've provided consent for that. Those are the 2 most common options, and I would recommend the email. I mean, I would do both, to be honest. Like, I do both. Just mail it and email it because stuff gets lost in the mail, stuff gets lost in the email box. cover your bases. But the third form of delivery, as I mentioned earlier, is downloading a PDF of the 1099 and sending it to the recipient directly. Now, Tax1099 will also ask you if you want to do a TIN match or tax identification number match. It'll do a quick search to establish if the tax ID number you've entered matches the name. It's not a foolproof system, but I think it greatly reduces user error. And I always choose to do that because I don't ever want to have to go back and reissue a 1099 after the fact or unissue it. So we're getting close to the end here. You're also going to see a state filing option. This checkbox only appears if your recipient is in a state that requires direct state filing, like we talked about earlier. If the state filing is required, the system will guide you through it, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now you want to review the information you put in carefully. If you want to check the exact fees, click on Calculate to see the charges based on the services you selected. Once everything looks good, you click Submit. Tax1099 will e-file the form to the IRS and update the status once it's accepted. And that's it. Your filing is complete. In terms of late payment fee or late filing fees and so on, if the form is 30 days late, you can be charged up to a $60 late fee per form. So if you had 1099s you're supposed to get out and you didn't get them out in time, potentially the IRS could, track you down and be like, hey, we didn't get your 1099s till so-and-so, you owe $60. If you're 31 to 60 days late, they say it can go up to 130 per form. And after 60 days, it can be up to $330 a late fee per form. If you go beyond that, I think the maximum penalty is about $660 per form. Let's talk a little bit about the pricing again. So for the first 20 forms, it's $2.99 per form. You pay less per form the more forms you do. And when I say form, I mean the actual singular 1099 NEC that goes out to a person. So if you have 10 people that need them, you're going to send out 10 forms. Between 21 and 150 forms, it drops to $2.30 per form, and the rate will continue to decrease as you keep going. And you'll see in the drop-down menu, probably when you go look for pricing, there's going to be a variety of forms there. 1099 miscellaneous, W-2s, God knows, probably a bunch of forms that I've never even filed or heard of myself. So use it to the degree that you need. And finally, I'll mention again, if you use our link, joedesanto.com/tax1099, I will gratefully get a small commission for you signing up through our link, but you then can also use our discount code of DeSanto15 and get 15% off your tax filings for this year. So why not? Again, it's a win-win. All right, well, hopefully you found that helpful. I'm sorry that you have to do a bunch of tax form filings. I know it's a pain in the butt, but if it makes you feel any better, I'll be doing them also. Perhaps we can commiserate over comments in the YouTube comment area if you like. Otherwise, enjoy tax preparation season, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.